Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for the opportunity. Well, I am Sandratu from Class C 2019 English Education, University of West Sulawesi. Well, in here I will explain about my assignment foreign language acquisition from Mr. Amrang SPD MPD. In here I will explain about 5 hypotheses of a second language acquisition. Well, but before I explain about that, we must know what is hypothesis. So, hypothesis is temporary answer to a problem that will be verified true by research. Jadi, hipotesis ini adalah dugaan atau jawaban sementara sebuah masalah yang akan diverifikasi melalui suatu penelitian atau research. 5 hypotheses of second language acquisition. The first is the acquisition learning hypothesis. So, children focus more on communicating message and language that come naturally to them. When he is not learning a language, he doesn't focus on what he is saying. Language acquisition occurs only when a child can understand message in the second language. The next is the natural order hypothesis. Well, this hypothesis is states that individuals tend to acquire the grammatical structure of language second only to the predictable natural order. This means that they are more likely to acquire certain grammatical structures before others. The next is the monitor hypothesis. Well, in the hypothesis, the learning function is only to improve a language utterance. Meanwhile, the acquisition of language function as an initiator of speech which affect the fluence of communication. We can look in Crescent book 1982. Students can only control if they meet 3 conditions. The first is time. Well, there is sufficient time to exercise control, but in conversation in general, time to exercise control is sufficient. And the second is focus on form. In addition to having sufficient time to exercise control, learner must also focus on the correct form and language rules. The last is language rules. And the next is the input hypothesis. In this hypothesis is Crescent book. Important things, namely the first is that learners acquires language by understanding the input, which contains a structure that is slightly above a current learner's ability, which is formulation I plus E, I plus 1. There is where I is the current learner's ability. Understanding input in this hypothesis means understanding the meaning of an utterance or meaning. Learners do not get the language structure the first time learning, but understand the meaning of speech so that the structure it is so obtained. Well, the next is the affect filter hypothesis. So, what's the affect filter of hypothesis? Well, the next is the affect filter hypothesis. So, this hypothesis is related to the input hypothesis. Crescent argues that by providing comprehensive input is not enough. Students must also allow the input accepted and understood. You can see in Crescent in Mitchell and Michael's book 2040. Crescent argues the affection factors can affect input acceptance and second language acquisition. You can see in Crescent book 1992. The variables of affection factor consist of 3 categories. The first is motivation student, and the next is self-confidence, and the next is students who have with inhibit the obtaining input. So, I think that's all. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.